Wednesday's full of dark deaths, and we're about to break them all down, from innocent crows to Joseph Crackhead himself. So be sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. It all opens with an omen. 3 crows die against the grill of the Addams family hearse, the first of many deaths that will define the show's grim mood. This unexpected incident sets a tone where death is not only frequent, but equally sudden. The first human victim is a hiker, Ethan Hansen, found mutilated in the Jericho woods. His death establishes the presence of a monstrous, inhuman predator near Nevermore Academy. Sheriff Galpin's investigation begins here, with a corpse that is less a mystery than a showcase of savage brutality. This creature, which we later learn is a Hyde, hunts with brutal efficiency and doesn't hesitate to kill. Even before Wednesday's arrival at Nevermore, the story populates its world with past losses. Xavier Thorpe's godmother and a Mrs. Laszlo are mentioned as having passed away, establishing a backdrop of grief and memory in his life. In the present, a farmer dies in a car crash, also near the school. While officially an accident, its timing feels connected to the growing sense of dread and increase in death, another piece in a pattern of misfortune. The official investigation uncovers more of the Hyde's victims. Files and photographs name Olivia Davis and Benjamin Clark, alongside a second unnamed woman. Though their deaths are not shown, they are crucial to the plot, serving as the evidence that fuels Wednesday's obsession and drives her to defy the dismissive attitude of the local authorities. The stakes begin to rise with the body count, and she won't stand idly by when something serious is clearly going on. A flashback introduces a personal and formative death from Wednesday's childhood. Her pet scorpion, Nero, is crushed by bullies. This small act of cruelty is pivotal to her character, explaining the origin of her deeply seated sense of justice and her hardened attitude. It's the event that taught her to channel emotional pain into stoic, cold behavior. Even minor details contribute to the theme of loss. In Laurel Gates's greenhouse, 2 worms are fed to a Venus flytrap. This seemingly insignificant act is a subtle clue to her character, demonstrating a detached view of life that foreshadows her much larger-scale villainy. The episode's climax is the murder of Rowan Laszlo. Driven by a prophetic drawing that depicts Wednesday as the future destroyer of Nevermore, he attempts to kill her. Before he can act, however, the Hyde emerges from the woods and mauls him, killing him instantly while deliberately sparing Wednesday. This is the audience's first clear view of the monster and the first major clue that its actions are not entirely random. Wednesday is a witness, and the monster's choice to let her live directly implicates her in the central mystery around the death. What follows is a strange cover-up. Principal Weems uses her shape-shifting ability to impersonate Rowan, creating the illusion that he has simply been expelled. This official lie is meant to maintain order, but for Wednesday, it's an act of violence against the truth. Rowan's murder, though erased from the school's records, remains a core event for the season, proving that the authorities at Nevermore are willing to conceal death to protect the institution's reputation and long-term optics. The next episode expands the timeline of death from the present day back to Jericho's founding. Wednesday's visions reveal the historical roots of the conflict, starting with the discovery of 8 goat skulls buried in the earth. These remains are remnants of a past cruelty, offerings tied to a puritanical ideology that will soon be shown in full. The vision transports Wednesday to a barn set ablaze by Joseph Crackstone, the town's pilgrim founder. Inside, at least 50 outcasts are burned alive, condemned for their nature. This massacre is not the work of a mindless beast, but of a systematic, ideologically driven extermination. Among the victims is the mother of Goody Adams, Wednesday's ancestor and spiritual guide. The scale of this historical atrocity recontextualizes the Hyde's murders. While the Hyde is a predator, Crackstone was a zealot who commanded a genocide. Goody Adams herself is introduced as a figure who survived the fire but died centuries ago. Her death is part of the historical record, but her continued existence as a guiding spirit makes her an active character in the story. Her mortality is what confines her to the spectral realm, able to assist Wednesday only through visions. The episode also establishes the death of Joseph Crackstone, killed by Goody long ago. In the present, the Hyde's pattern of savagery continues. More animal carcasses are found, adding to the evidence that the creature is a constant hunter, needing to satiate some kind of feral desire. These discoveries support Wednesday's claims against the sheriff's skepticism, proving the threat is ongoing and could still lead to more harm. The episode continues to deal with the fallout from Rowan's murder. The school's cover-up remains in place, creating a central tension. Wednesday is not just hunting a monster, she is fighting against an institutional lie. The absence of Rowan's body, despite the audience having witnessed his death, makes the stakes about the nature of truth itself within Nevermore. By the end of the episode, the body count spans centuries, from a recent classmate to the victims of a 17th century massacre, and with the number of victims in the dozens, establishing that the violence in Jericho is a deeply rooted historical cycle. The third episode deepens Wednesday's connection to the past through another vision of Joseph Crackstone's atrocities. Touching the ruins of the Pilgrim Meeting House, she witnesses the burning of the barn again, a scene of mass murder where at least 50 outcasts, including men, women, and children, were executed for their magical nature. This vision reinforces the distinction between the Hyde's instinctive violence and Crackstone's ideological cruelty. The Hyde kills individuals while Crackstone aimed to erase an entire people. The death of Goody Adams' mother is once again highlighted as the event that forged Goody into a resistor. This historical loss is the source of the mission that her ghost now entrusts to Wednesday. Though Goody survived the fire and fought back against Crackstone, she was not immortal. Her ghostly form is a consequence of her mortality, allowing her to guide Wednesday from beyond the grave. In the present day, the Hyde's reign of terror continues. A new victim, Fabian, is discovered. The surrounding woods are shown to be littered with animal corpses, with at least 65 confirmed across different locations, 42 in one clearing, and 23 in another. This obsessive level of killing shows that the Hyde's violence is not for sustenance, but for sport, an expression of the ravenous hunger within its human host, Tyler Galpin. Episode 3 weaves together 3 threads of death: the historical genocide orchestrated by Crackstone, the Hyde's ongoing spree of individual murders, and the constant, almost ambient slaughter of animals in the woods. This layering illustrates that death in Jericho is not a singular mystery, but a structural element of the town's past and present. Everything is interconnected with that fateful thread. Each body, whether human or animal, historical or recent, provides Wednesday with another clue, pushing her closer slowly towards uncovering the full conspiracy. The Raven Dance, Nevermore's annual ball, provides a darkly ironic backdrop for the recent violence. Before the dance, the death toll continues to rise in the background. Also, of everyone watching, only 1% is subscribed. So you guys better get it to at least 5%, or Wednesday and Thing will make you. Just kidding. Not kidding. Thank you. Another man is taken as another victim of the Hyde, and 2 more unidentified bodies are discovered, adding to the sense that the monster's attacks are more widespread than officially acknowledged. The Hyde's preying on wildlife also persists. 5 deer are found killed, their remains displayed in a grotesque manner. The choice of deer, often symbols of innocence, highlights the performative cruelty of the predator. These killings are about creating terror and leaving a dark signature, instilling fear rather than seeking provision. The main violent act of the episode is the attack on Eugene Ottinger. The loyal and kind-hearted beekeeper follows a lead into the woods alone and stumbles upon the Hyde's lair. He is brutally mauled and left for dead. Although Eugene ultimately survives, he spends several episodes in a coma, and the attack is treated with the impact of a murder. His near death is a serious turning point, as it brings the violence directly into Wednesday's small circle of friends and intensifies her motivation to solve the case. It is a deep reminder that innocence offers no protection against the presence of demons. Episode 5 pivots from the active Hyde investigation to unraveling a decades-old mystery: the death of Garrett Gates. For years, the official story held that Gomez Addams murdered Garrett in a jealous rage. However, Wednesday's investigation reveals a more complex truth. Garrett, driven by his family's anti-outcast bigotry, had intended to poison the entire school during the Raven Dance. He was already dying from a vial of nightshade that had shattered in his pocket when he confronted Morticia. She dealt him a fatal sword wound in self-defense, but he was already on a suicide mission. Garrett's death exposes the deep-seated hatred of the Gates family and the way Jericho's history has been manipulated. Gomez took the blame to protect Morticia, and this lie festered for decades, shaping the town's perception of the Addams family. The rest of the Gates family tree is shown to be just as poisoned. Dr. Reginald Anwar, the town coroner who knew the truth about Garrett's death, was murdered by Laurel Gates to ensure his silence. Garrett's mother, Mrs. Gates, died by suicide, unable to cope with her family's heartbreaking downfall. His father, Ansel Gates, also took his own life by ingesting poison. The family, consumed by their own hate, effectively destroyed itself. Their deaths are not just backstory, but the fertile ground from which Laurel's plan for revenge grows. In a moment of dark comedy, Pugsley Addams kills 18 fish with a grenade. While played for laughs, this minor massacre fits the show's overarching theme that death, in all its forms, is a constant presence in the Addams world, intertwined with both their serious conflicts and their mundane activities. The conspiracy tightens its grip on Jericho's leadership with the death of Mayor Noble Walker. He is first involved in a suspicious car accident that leaves him hospitalized and incapacitated. This removes him as a potential source of information for Wednesday, as he was one of the few people aware of the town's long-held secrets. His death is not left to chance, though. Laurel Gates, disguised as a hospital staffer, infiltrates his room and deactivates his life support, ensuring his permanent silence. His murder is clinical and careful, a dark contrast to the Hyde's brutal and ravenous attacks. It shows the human planning behind the monstrous violence. Walker's death is a strategic move, eliminating a key figure who understood the connections between the Gates family, Nevermore, and Jericho's dark past. The episode also shows the deaths of 2 squirrels, found by Wednesday. In the context of the larger human death toll, these might seem insignificant, but they serve as important markers of the Hyde's continued presence and activity. For Wednesday, who misses no detail, these small deaths are part of the same violent pattern, reinforcing her understanding that the monster is being guided by a human intelligence of some kind. This episode solidifies Laurel Gates' role as the mastermind. While Tyler's hide provides the brute force, Laurel orchestrates the more subtle and strategic deaths. She uses modern methods, like a car or a hospital machine, to eliminate obstacles just as effectively as the hide uses its claws. Her actions prove that the threat is twofold: a monster in the woods and a murderer hiding in plain sight. As the season approaches its climax, the threat becomes intensely personal for Wednesday. The most shocking moment is the near death of Thing. He's found stabbed and pinned to the wall in Wednesday's room. A direct message from Laurel Gates. He gets saved only by the timely arrival and esoteric abilities of Uncle Fester, who revives him with electricity. This attack on Wednesday's most loyal companion demonstrates that no one is safe and that the enemy is willing to strike at the heart of the Addams family. Dr. Valerie Kinbutt, Wednesday's court-mandated therapist, is not as lucky, however. After Wednesday wrongly accuses her of being the mastermind, the real Hyde Tyler murders her. Her death is savage, a clear act of a monster, and it serves as a painful lesson for Wednesday about the consequences of her misjudgments. Kinbutt was an innocent bystander, killed to throw Wednesday off the scent and to eliminate another person who was getting too close to Tyler's deep psychological instability. The episode also expands the scale of death beyond Jericho. Olga Malikova, a monstrous figure from Fester's past, is said to have killed 15 people. More significantly, it's revealed that Tyler is responsible for at least 18 other murders outside the ones investigated in the main plot. This information transforms him from a localized threat into a prolific and merciless serial killer, deepening the horror and violence of his double-edged nature. Other minor deaths are mentioned, adding to the lore and sense of a world populated by loss. Ignatius It and Françoise Sylvain Galpin, Sheriff Galpin's late wife, are noted as deceased. These details enrich the history of Jericho's families, suggesting that tragedy and death are woven into their very fabric. By the end of this episode, the truth about Tyler is revealed, and the stage is set for a final, deadly confrontation. The season finale is a whirlwind of death and destruction. Principal Larissa Weems, who spent the season trying to protect Nevermore through deception and control, is killed by Laurel Gates. Laurel injects her with nightshade, a potent poison, and Weems dies quickly and painfully. Her death removes the final authority figure standing between the students and Laurel's plan, leaving Nevermore vulnerable to her savage plot. Laurel's ultimate goal is achieved: the resurrection of Joseph Crackstone. Using Wednesday's blood, she brings the Pilgrim Zealot back from the dead. Crackstone's first act is to stab Wednesday, leaving her to die in his crypt. She is only saved by the spectral intervention of her ancestor, Goody Adams, who uses her spirit to heal Wednesday's wound. Crackstone then goes to Nevermore, intending to finish the genocide he started centuries ago. He sets the school on fire and confronts the remaining students. In a final duel, Wednesday, with a timely distraction from Bianca, manages to stab him through his black heart with a broken sword. His resurrected body disintegrates, ending his threat for good. His second death is a major victory for Wednesday and the Outcasts, a powerful rejection of his hateful ideology. The chaos of the finale includes further off-screen violence. Tyler, as the Hyde, is said to have killed 4 police officers during his rampage. His monstrous nature is not dependent on Crackstone, so he remains a lethal threat on his own, and his story ends with him restrained and captured, but still very much a monster. The season concludes with a high body count of at least 200 deaths, closing the book on Crackstone and Laurel but leaving the door open for future threats. Season 2 opens by immediately establishing a massive scale of death. Wednesday discovers the case board of a serial killer known as the Kansas City Scalper, Chet LaTroy, revealing 14 victims: Olivia Hudson, Sandy Layton, Latifah Abia, Layla Larimar, Janice, Katja Pupchin, Hal Holland, Jude Redfern, Yasmin Wazorski, Chris Totham, Monique Massport, Denise Ducky Nygaard, Chad Frame, and Randy Adler. By presenting these deaths as a pre-existing list, the show signals a broader, more dangerous world outside Jericho. The series' iconic omen of crow deaths returns when 12 crows fly into a van and die on impact, a throwback to Season 1's opening, as well as a sign that a supernatural force is at play. This force is quickly revealed to be Judy Stonehurst, who can control birds. Her first on-screen victim is Carl Bradbury, a photographer who uncovered her secrets. He is swarmed and pecked to death by her murder of crows, his screams serving as a chilling introduction to her methods. The episode's also filled with smaller, often bizarre deaths that reinforce the show's strange tone. 2 mice are killed in traps, and a tarantula is found dead before being revived by Pugsley. In a darkly comic accident, a creature named Slurp kills a mouse and then itself during an experiment, only for Pugsley to resurrect both. The violence of the new season strikes at the heart of Jericho's established order, with the murder of Sheriff Donovan Galpin. Having survived the events of Season 1, he's killed in the same manner as Carl Bradbury, pecked to death by a flock of crows controlled by Judy Stonehurst. His death is not only brutal but ironic, as the pragmatic lawman who once dismissed Wednesday's supernatural theories meets his end at the hands of a powerful magical force. His murder leaves a power vacuum in Jericho and removes one of the few remaining authority figures. The episode reveals a new, gruesome threat with the discovery of the decapitated heads of Vasco Adams, a relative of Wednesday's, and 3 other unnamed men. This act suggests a new killer with a penchant for trophies, expanding the circle of danger to the extended Addams clan. An unnamed man is said to have died purely from fright, while at least 2 other people are victims of a werewolf attack. These off-screen deaths contribute to an atmosphere of pervasive danger, suggesting that named villains like Stonehurst are not the only things to fear out in the wild. The most disturbing death of the episode introduces a new kind of monster. Gabe Packard is killed when the creature Slurp eats his brain. This act establishes Slurp, the creature from Pugsley's Messing Around, as a lethal predator. Unlike the Hide, which tears flesh, Slurp consumes minds, representing a new and terrifying form of savagery. Episode 2 effectively dismantles the old power structure of Jericho, while introducing multiple new and distinct forms of horror. The 3rd episode narrows its focus but continues to build on the season's new threats. The primary death is that of Ron Kruger, who becomes the second known victim of Slurp. His brain is consumed in the same manner as Gabe Packard's. While only a single death, its significance is pretty major. It confirms that Slurp is not a one-off anomaly from a failed experiment, but an active and repeating predator. With the second victim, a pattern begins to form. Wednesday now has to deal with the plans of the Stonehurst family, the lingering threat of other supernatural creatures, and a brain-eating monster on the loose after her brother's goof-ups. Ron Kruger's death solidifies Slurp's place as a key antagonist for the season. The 4th episode is an explosion of violence, dramatically escalating the season's body count and clearing the board of major players from the past. The death toll begins with animals, as the cremated remains of a deer, a squirrel, and a raccoon are found, their bodies reduced to ash in urns. This continues the theme of the natural world being a casualty of the show's main conflict. In a display of power, the new headmaster, Barry Dort, incinerates 2 crows with fireballs, demonstrating that the authority figures at Nevermore can be as cruel as any creature in the woods when they want to be. Slurp's rampage escalates big time in the meantime. The creature kills and eats the brains of a security guard, another guard named Wilbur, and 2 more unnamed guards after that. Its hunger also claims Dr. Rachel Fairburn, a key figure in Jericho's psychiatric institutions, and Augustus Gus Stonehurst, one of the masterminds of the season's plot. Slurp's killing spree cuts a devastating path through both the foot soldiers and the leadership of the opposing factions. The most significant death is that of Laurel Gates. Having survived her apparent demise in Season 1, she returns only to be killed by the monster she created. Tyler, in his Hide form, finally turns on his former master and stabs her through the back. Her death is a moment of brutal and satisfying poetic justice, representing the final severing of her control over him. By the end of the episode, the landscape of the show has been forever altered. A new cruel headmaster is in place, multiple security and medical personnel are dead, a primary antagonist has been eliminated by a third-party monster, and the villain of Season 1 has been permanently dispatched. The chaos has been reset, proving no one is safe. The season ends at a death count of over 60, meaning that in total, we have over 250 deaths in the whole show so far. So this has been every death in Wednesday so far. Do you think the kill count will blow up even more when Part 2 of Season 2 drops soon? Was there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Wednesday content and theories, click the video on screen now.